Hey, what's up? It's Christopher, aka the Bronze Age Nerd, and today we're going to bust some more FOMO. That's right, we're going to take another look at Key Collector Trending 20, CBSI Hot 10, Cover Price Top 10, and we're going to pick 5 books that I wouldn't buy this week. We have several DC books on the list this week, and it feels like there's almost like this strategy among speculators right now to try to shift over to DC because of faith in James Gunn and what he could do for DC movies. Like it's the undiscovered country, basically. Well, newsflash, this idea has been around for a few years. It's actually nothing new. Let's take a look at the list this week and see which books are from DC. I think we'll be surprised how many are on there are DC books. First up is one of my favorite targets, which is ratio variants. We're going to go with Poison Ivy number 8. This is the 1 in 50 foil Frizzen variant. This was on the CBSI Hot 10. They had it going for $60 to $70 currently. And with our 1 in 50, that's kind of a new book. I think that's probably the peak. That'd be my guess. Of course, we'll see some graded books start to hit in a while, and those will probably get a bump. Ben, to his credit, brings up a great point. There's probably not a lot of copies ordered of this book, and that's probably very true, by the way. There's probably not a lot of shops out there ordering 50 books. It's something he says in the post. I completely agree. However, who's going to want the book in a few months because it's not a key? So there's no real reason to go back for this unless people just absolutely fall in love with this cover, and there are thousands of hot covers out there. So I don't see this one sticking out. I think this is one that people are going to chase now because they want it, and then they'll forget about it in a few months. My opinion is this book's probably peaking right around now, and now would be a good time to sell it. All right, next up on the list is a DC ratio variant. Wait, what? No, it's another one. This is Nightwing number 100. This is the Dan Mora foil variant. It's another foil variant, too. There are actually a couple Nightwing 100 books on the list. The other one is a killer George Perez variant, which is actually pretty cool. It's a design variant. This one, though, I don't see it lasting very long. It's the same logic I used in the number 5 pick. I don't think anybody's going to care about this issue later on. Nightwing is a decent run for sure, but I just don't see this one having legs to stay behind it, basically. All right, this one is another DC variant, but hey, at least it's not a ratio variant. This one is Batman Superman World's Finest 11. It's probably the one that got you to click on this video in the first place, if you're not subscribed already. And this is the Jack White cover. Now, there is kind of a cool angle to this, which is the name convention with the Joker and his new name from Flashpoint 5 and everything. I kind of get the logic there. And I actually think this is a cool cover. I really do. If I'd been aware of this cover before FOC, I would have ordered it for sure. But even then, I wouldn't have paid more than cover price for this book. And it's going for $75 right now, which to me is insane. And here's the thing. There's been a lot of these musician comic tie-ins. This one does have a slightly special take with the Joker tie-in, but other than that, we've seen the Jerry Seinfeld World's Finest book. We've seen the Paul McCartney one come out, and those books both peaked and are on their way down. I think this book probably has longer legs than those, but I don't think it has more room to grow either, not much more room to grow. This isn't the M&M variant. That's just my take on this one. However, I do love following these books. I actually do a follow-up video series where I track the prices on these books. I'm switching over to doing those like every 6 months and every year later because 3 months later, there's usually not enough movement. But I am curious to see where this book goes in the future. All right, number 4 on the list. This one is a DC book, but it's not a variant. It's not a ratio. This is AllStar Superman number 1. The reason this went off basically is because James Gunn tweeted out a picture of him reading AllStar Superman, or at least presumably him reading it. It's actually just a picture of the book, the collected edition, and I think a cup of coffee or tea or something, right? And that's really all it took. Okay, so there's a good chance here that James Gunn is either telling you that he's brushing up on All-Star Superman, that he's brushing up on Superman in general because we all know there is Superman plans in the works after the departure of Henry Cavill, or he's saying that, hey, I'm going to be doing something that's directly inspired by All-Star Superman. If that's the case, this book is out there. There are plenty of copies of it. I've seen it everywhere. Yes, people will kind of hop on it for a little bit, but think about it this way. What like storyline has ever had a massive increase in the modern era because it was adapted into a movie? You know, Civil War One really a crazy hot book now? You know, that kind of thing. Think about it. It just doesn't happen very often. It's possible, I guess, but to me, it's just not a very likely suspect. However, you still probably can pull this one out of dollar bins pretty easily right now. And if that's the case, go for it, I guess. Okay, I always try to end the list with a bigger book, or at least one that's more of a risky pick for me. This one is Captain America 310, which is the first appearance of the Serpent Society. Apparently, we're going to get Serpent Society in Captain America 4, which is shaping up to be an interesting movie. But here's my question for you. We're talking about villains, we're talking about a team of villains, and we're talking about a team of C-list villains. Also, MCU spec hasn't been doing crazy numbers like it used to when it comes to comic books. So I wonder if people, I think I've seen this one going for 20, 25 bucks, a little bit more in some cases. And if that's the case, how much room does this book really have? I mean, is this going to be the next Wrecking Crew? Is it going to be the next Titania? These aren't Kang. These aren't Doctor Doom. These aren't these solid villains that we know and love. They're not Loki. They're not Thanos. It's the Serpent Society. They're a cool team. There's nothing wrong with this book. I just have a feeling that we're not going to see this book pay off like some people are clearly going to be hunting it right now. And this same rule applies as the last book. If you find this book for cheap and you can flip it and everything, more power to you. I'm not going to say that's a bad idea, but I wouldn't run out and pay eBay FOMO prices for this one. That's just my opinion on it. Thanks for following along for my list of top 5 comic books I'm not buying this week. Let me know what you're not going to buy in the comments down below. I appreciate that. I also appreciate all of my channel members. I have a list on the screen right now of all my wonderful channel members that have helped me out. I really appreciate them. Thank you so much for that. And as always, I want to remind you, hey, 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 hey. Read comics every day.